With the election just around the corner, French Prime Minister Gabriel Attal is making a final push to prevent the right-wing National Rally from securing a historic victory in upcoming parliamentary elections. With Le Pen's party leading in the polls at over 36% and the left-wing New Popular Front and Attal's Assemble alliance trailing behind, the stakes are high. If the National Rally wins a majority, it would significantly shift French politics, potentially limiting President Macron's influence. Joining us today on TVP World to discuss the implications of this critical election is Pascal Drouhaud, international relations expert. Hello, sir, and welcome to TVP World.
Pleasure. Thank you.
So ever since the snap election was announced by President Macron, all the commentators have been scratching their heads and calling it a bold gamble. Now, leading up to the election, looking at the trends, the polling numbers so far, would you say that this gamble would pay off, or did he just shot himself in the foot?
Well, in fact, they are historical elections, and for sure tonight, France hold his breath. Why? Because it is two clear options. As you said, or the coalition of right parties from radical left party, the France Insoumise, ecologist, socialist wins or obtain a strong number of members of parliament and can create a new government, or a sovereignist right party from Jordan Bardella, the new figure in France in politics, and with Marine Le Pen, as we can see for the moment, is winning. And it will be a new political moment, an historical moment, because for the first time since 1958, since the creation by the General de Gaulle of the Fifth Republic, with those strong institutions giving a strong power to the President of France, since that time, this political party coming from more sovereignist, nationalist party will win, and will win into those strong institutions, having a relative or the majority at the parliament, and they will govern France. The President Macron will be in cohabitation, as we lived a few years ago, many years ago, when the president, as you said, is from one political party and the majority at the parliament, and then the prime minister is coming from other party. So that's the huge challenge and the strong rendezvous for France tomorrow.
Right. So like you said, we might be seeing a cohabitation when it comes to the French government right now, or it's a possibility. So if in the event of this cohabitation where Macron must work with the member from Le Pen's party as prime minister, what potential conflicts in policy making and implementation can you foresee?
Well, definitely. In fact, today there are two strong options, as I said. Or the National Unification Party of Marine Le Pen with his allies are winning relative, or, and it is credible, the majority into the two rounds of the elections, tomorrow and the 7th of July. And then it will be a strong, tough cohabitation between the president having, for the moment, 2 years and a half before the end of his mandate in 2027, and a government coming with a specific program, with specific topics, and definitely they will be, we will have a strong cohabitation, strong conflicts with inside the executive power between the president and the government. You know, in France, the government must have a majority in the parliament. As we could see, in France, you have 577 members of the parliament. The absolute majority is 289. But I'm not talking only about numbers. I'm talking about the spirit of the French Republic. General de Gaulle gave new institution 70 years ago, strong institution because he wanted for the president a strong majority and the means to govern, means to reform, to change France, etc. So if these and the polls are showing a dynamic on the right side, if the right side more nationalist is winning, definitely they will assume their responsibility. And as we could see during those last days, the conflict will be strong between a president who will lose the elections and a new strong government with a new mandate. But it will be the same if left parties are winning. The more credible, if you are looking to polls for the moment, is a relative majority, perhaps the absolute for the right side. But it could be a new reaction of the people. You could see that many proxies have been showed this week. More than 2 million people couldn't vote, but gave their vote to someone to vote tomorrow. So we must be patient. We must see the elections tomorrow. As you said, 2 terms. Perhaps it will be a strong mobilization, and the dynamic could be all but right parties, but it could be also all but left parties. So we must be patient. Mm-hmm. Vote will begin into few hours, and we will have a good image tomorrow night about what could happen into 1 week. But definitely, those elections are historical. Those elections can change the face of France for the next years, and definitely will have consequences on Europe and in the international relations.
Right, like you said, this election is not just about France, but might have an impact all across Europe. And I'm also interested in the dynamics that you're talking about. And I'm wondering if this election does go into the second round on July 7th, what kind of dynamic might influence the final outcome?
Well, I think it is 2 types of dynamic. First, as many years ago, when, for example, Jacques Chirac won the presidential in 2002 against Jean-Marie Le Pen, the former president of the Sovereignist Party at that time, with Republican reaction, being re-elected, Jacques Chirac 20 years ago with 82% of the votes. But in 20 years, the society has changed. The topics have changed in France. And definitely, we saw during those last years a moving on the voting. Marine Le Pen has been candidate twice to the presidential in 2017 and 2022, 2 years ago, against Emmanuel Macron. And for the moment, the topics who have been during this campaign on security, internal security, about immigration, also about the economy, the inflation, the 3I, immigration, security, inflation, have created dynamic inside the voting, definitely, and inside the people. You could see that 2 weeks ago, after the European elections, the right parties won in France the European elections. And the color of France not in Paris. Paris is more centrist and left parties, but France was the blue color. It means the color of this right party with historical new moment. People wanted, in fact, to have the feeling that France is living a type of sociologic fragmentation. They want to find again a type of identity of the republics, identity of the spirit of the republic. When you are French, you have the same rights, but same duties. They are asking for this type of justice, but of course, economy is very important, and they want to see that perhaps as other countries in Europe, their country, the state, being more present, perhaps being more restored, and that's why those elections have consequences on Europe.
Right.
Because in the background, you can see the debate on federalism, more nationalist vision of Europe, etc. So that's all of those points who are in the center of those elections.
Right. So all this will finally accumulate into the result that will be seen either in a few hours or in July the 7th. Thank you so much for all your input and insight. Really appreciate it. Thanks again for being with us on TVP World.
A pleasure.